Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. What are we talking about today? So, I participate in a lot of different chats on Instagram, Discord, just in general, right? I think we all do. And one of the terms that I hear all too often, and truthfully, I think I can confidently say everyone has experienced this. Maybe not in every corner of your life, but at some point during your life, you have experienced something called retail therapy. Oh boy. And in the knife world, it's ever present, especially in the hardcore collector and enthusiast community, right? A lot of us like to collect or build a rotation or just enjoy the different, look at what's out on the table here. We have a whole bunch of different designs, right? We want to experience a lot of this stuff, right? That's part of it. And truthfully, I think I've probably talked about this before. But part of the reason that I buy knives is to experience a different design, experience a different maker, a different caliber, right? Different materials, this or that, right? In a lot of ways, you're gaining knowledge, insight, perspective, right? For your next purchase or in conversation with other people, right? For me, I have the added benefit of, content creation, right? I'm like, well, I have to do this because, because I have a channel, right? It's my duty, all right? Yeah. So, a lot of you guys know, right? Like the channel has a budget. Running a channel like this is expensive. It just is. Two uploads a day, and then I'm constantly having things mailed into me that I have to mail back out. Yeah, definitely, absolutely, very, very expensive. So, because I generate ad revenue and I generate revenue from affiliate sales, right? Like when you guys click on a link and you buy something, you don't have to pay anymore, but the retailer, gives me a kickback. That's how those work. That's how I generate additional revenue without being sponsored. Because if I was sponsored by a knife company or a retailer, it would kind of create a weird bias, right? You wouldn't know if you could trust me. So anyways, that's part of how I generate revenue. I also have Patreon, and these funds help to keep this content moving. So I keep creating more and more and more content because that was the whole, idea in the beginning. But I also have an additional budget that I use to purchase knives. Sometimes they are, knives that I intend to keep in my collection. And sometimes they're knives that I really just want to talk about. And for whatever reason, I just can't get one. Then I, turn it around, sell it. A lot of you guys know I only sell knives on Patreon, and I sell them for a fraction of whatever I buy them for, which sounds like I'm taking a massive loss, but you have to understand I'm generating content with this stuff. So it is also generating additional ad revenue, right? So I figured out how to do this and make it work. But a lot of times I'm realizing that, I'm doing that for content creation. I'm doing it for, general insight, experience, to share the, information with people, give my perspective. But it's also absolutely retail therapy. I think it's safe to say a lot of us have been more stressed out in the last couple of years than we've ever been before, especially as we get older. And every decade has its own, set of events, right? Lots of things in the past have created stress for different age groups, right? And we, a lot of people who are my age are experiencing this type of stress for the first time, maybe. I remember growing up when I was younger, I just felt like everything was okay all the time. The most stressful thing for me was, oh man, I got a geometry test later. Oh, I'm so stressed. Oh boy, I had no idea, right? But, you know, as I got older, you know, I found that, like, you know, taking an interest in things like, eventually, like the knife world, helped me kind of, I don't know, separate, like, I don't know if decompartmentalization actually applies here, but kind of, right? It allowed me to focus on things that brought me happiness and kind of, you know, set some of the stuff off on the back burner. And not just because, like, oh, I want to deal with it later, right? It's just like, it kind of helped. Other than dwelling on things that you can't control, it's nice to kind of spread things out. And so, you know, the way that I dealt with stress over time was I liked to play video games. I like going to the gym, which is the healthiest, far and away the best stress reliever. I mean, even like hitting a punching bag, you know, relieving, you know, just physical activity in general is the absolute greatest stress reliever. And then, like, you know, hobbies like knife collecting, right? But each of those things is very different as far as like stress relief, right? The video games is, that's a, it's just visual stimulation and audible stimulation. Audio, what's the right way to say that? Yeah, audible stimulation. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. So it's present while you're playing, and as soon as you stop, it's pretty much over. It's like whatever work I remember thinking, like, whatever work I put into my death knight on World of Warcraft, this is back during, if you didn't know, I used to play World of Warcraft. This is back during Ice Crown Citadel. There is no feeling good about spending 6 hours on a Saturday. even if you get all the drops, right? You get everything. It's just the best use of your time in the game will result in no feeling of satisfaction as soon as you stop playing, right? At least that's the way it was for me. So that was just stimulation. And I balanced that, or tried to balance that with a gym, because I would play video games like for a whole Saturday, and then I'd be like, I gotta go to the gym. Go to the gym, and I'd be like, I got something done today, right? Or a whole day. Back then, I used to work at a call center, so I sat all day, which is, especially if you have a job like that and you don't do any physical activity, it's just factually, it's just not good for you. So I, whole day of work, I was like, oh, I'm glad to be done with work, but I need, just the stress of the job and feeling like I'm just sitting there wasting away. I had to go to the gym to kind of feel relief, and then I could go to sleep and felt good about it. But the knife world, that's like this type of thing, this type of hobby is different. I'm getting satisfaction, definitely from the object itself, right? Ooh, titanium, right? Ooh, it's thick titanium. This is a thick knife, right? Ooh, S90V, right? That action. This is the opening hole, right? The clicks and the clacks, and there's all these different, right? And then you collect. There's that satisfaction. I'm building my collection, right? Why? I don't know. There's lots of stuff that we say. I'm going to pass it down to my kids. It's an investment. I don't know. I think we're just a bunch of hoarders, right? Internally, we're just a bunch of, it's the crow brain, right? Shiny. Must acquire. That's, we do that. And for whatever reason, a lot of us, I remember, I've definitely fallen asleep going, my collection is pretty cool. And finding a weird, lulling satisfaction with that, right? But I have stated many times over, I've called it a lot of different things, but I think that the term that has stuck the best is the itch, and then, more importantly, scratching the itch, right? The itch is going to be there. But there's something about the hunt and then the ability to buy, right? The only thing that's different now than before I had the channel is that now I actually have a budget for it. Back before I had the channel, I was spending money that I really should not have been spending, right? After a while, right, I chose a lot of the right knives. A lot of them retained enough value that I really wasn't spending a whole lot of money. extra, right? I was taking a little bit of a bath, but listen to me trying to justify it. There's so many people nodding along like, yeah, okay, all right. But that's what was happening. I'd buy a knife for $500. It would retain most of its value, sometimes a little bit more. And then I'd sell it when I got tired of it, and I'd buy something else, right? And the whole ordeal would cost me between $20 and $50 a month, right? The initial investment into, 4 or 5 of those was quite a bit. But after a while, just making the right choices, which I learned over time from making bad choices, buying knives that were expensive but didn't do as well on the secondary market. And I know a lot of you, ready to name names. Those names come and go, right? The value goes up and down. So what's not as valuable right now may be super valuable in future, right? There was a time where people were like, Hinder knives, they used to go for like 800, but now you can find them on the secondary market for like 300. So not a very good investment. Oh boy, those people are eating their words right now. But that's my point. It goes up and down, right? So anyways, scratching the itch, right? The only difference, that's what I was saying. The only difference now is that I was spending money then that I didn't really have, that wasn't budgeted correctly. Now, this channel has a very specific budget, funds that are dedicated to the internal, like the operations, right? Of course, I put a lot of time into this, right? This is still work, even though I'm having fun with it. It's definitely still time and energy, and I like to be paid for that, right? And I don't think that's crazy at all. Some people, are just, for whatever reason, they're like, YouTubers shouldn't get paid. They should just dance and dance for my entertainment for free, and I want it to be what I want. No, shut up. I disagree with you completely. I want to get paid for my time for sure. I still want to put my thoughts out there, right? Still want to give accurate information. But running a channel like this, it costs money. There's going to be a certain cost involved. If you want to know, this channel in shipping alone costs around $500 a month just in shipping. Some months have actually gone upwards of $800 depending on what it is that's coming in and going out. And if you look back over the last 2 years and you see this guy has consistently uploaded 60 times a month without skipping a beat. Yeah, you probably calculate that in your head pretty quickly. That really is what it costs just to ship stuff. And that's only one of the expenses, right? But I also have a budget for knives, and that budget, when I spend it, is very much retail therapy. Now, a lot of you are doing the same thing as me. I have a set aside budget, right? I pay for my house, and I pay for my car, or I pay for my apartment, or I pay for my student loans, right? Medical bills, food, insurance, blah, 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 all the adult stuff that we all wish we could go back and be 14 again and not give a crap about anything, right? That's all stuff we have to pay for. Get that paid for first. And then my rule is you got to have a certain amount that you put back every month that you just save and invest. And that's my thought anyway. And then if there's a little bit left over, maybe you can budget it for what you want, right? So I do that. And I get all this other stuff, right? Content creation, get to share, get to do what I love. But it absolutely is retail therapy. It definitely is. The hunt, the acquisition, having the funds ready to spend, and the reason I know this, the reason I sit back and kind of laugh at it is because it's like sometimes this last month, I bought something I don't normally buy because I had an opportunity and I was like, oh, I've actually always wanted one of those. And the only reason now that I have fallen into this situation is because I can't find anything else that I want, right? I got a Shaman. I got an 0562. I've got Hinders. I've got Demcos. I'm not trying to flex. I'm just letting you know. Knife YouTuber problems. Oh my God. Bought the new SOCOM Bravo, right? Lots of other cool stuff out there, just not a lot of knives that I'm interested in right now, right at this very moment. And all the stuff that I might consider is gone very quickly. And, as much as people claim all the time, like, oh, he's got the inside, No, a lot of I can't get that stuff. When's the last time you guys saw me buy a hinderer? They're hard to get. I just can't get them. But yeah, I fell into this situation because I was like, I can't find anything else. And I was scrolling through Instagram and I was like, man, that looks cool. And I found myself in a situation where I could pick one up. You guys will see this here soon. And I bought it, and it's funny, like, I bought it, it happened so quickly. And it was, I realized, like, subconsciously that itch was so powerful, and I was, just the general stress of life, I was just like, I need this, I need this itch to be scratched so that I can do the whole, yay, I bought it. Now let's wait for the email confirmation, and then let's wait for the one that says the label has been created, and then let's hit refresh and track over and over and over and over again until it says it's on the way, and then let's check it 40 times a day until it actually gets here. Which is funny, but that's actually how a lot of us vent stress, is by doing that and waiting for the new thing to come in so that you can just, have it. Neat, right? Yeah, we do that. Or you take it out and use it, right? Or you take a bunch of pictures on Instagram or whatever. It's all part of it. There's all like this big, from the moment when you're like, I'm going to buy something so that I can experience retail therapy and scratch the itch and feel good about all of these other things that are happening that I have no control over, right? There's that, there's the beginning, and then there's a whole series of events that you go through that we like to experience over and over and over again. Is that good? Is it bad? I don't know. It can be bad, but it also, I feel like if you budget correctly and you're enjoying it, it's actually bringing you joy and you're not spiraling, right? Like I've said this many times, if you're dumping your whole, Instagram can be super toxic. Because it, especially in the knife community, if you get into Instagram or if you watch channels like mine, it can set these totally unrealistic bars. Like, I remember thinking like, man, I got to start collecting hinders or I'm not cool. And then all of a sudden I was spending money that I didn't have, and I was like, eeh. And then that creates a whole different type of stress. You're like, now I have this cool thing, but I'm going to be eating... I'm literally, a lot of people say this as a joke, I'm literally going to be eating dry ramen for the next 4 weeks. Or 2 weeks. Whenever you get, I remember that. And it was crazy that I was buying knives like that. And when I remember when I bought my first hinderer, my paychecks were like, they weren't very much. The job that I was working, I was not getting paid very much. And I was justifying a $425 knife purchase, which was insane, right? And I remember just being stressed out. I'm like, well, at least I have this hinderer. This only works, I'm not trying to judge. Like, you guys live your own lives. It's your money. You spend it how you want. Not judging anybody. But me going through this, right? Back then, I was spending money I didn't have and creating different types of stress. Now, it's budgeted, right? Because it has to be. This just is the way that it is. It's just the form that it takes after a while. It's structured, and I have to be careful with all this to make sure that you guys continue to get content, which is the most important thing. And it's also the part that I love the most. It's actually a form of therapy in and of itself. But yeah, in my experience... this works if you budget for it, right? It doesn't really matter if you end up with 100 knives and you only need one. A lot of people say, well, they're all, collectors are dumb. You only need one knife, just, use it, cut and put it away. Ain't nobody need no 100 knives. Yeah, we know. Everybody knows. We know we don't need 100 knives. We're not sitting here thinking, good thing I have 100 knives for every conceivable circumstance. No. That's not why, right? Nobody's being educated in that department. We know. We're doing it because crow brain, because shiny, because want to have, right? Acquire. Yes. That's what I assume crows would sound like if they could talk, or if we could understand them. I'm sure that they do talk. But yeah, retail therapy very much exists. I think it's okay to acknowledge it. It's important to understand when it's, when it's damaging or potentially damaging, and when it's harmless, right? So that's really all I'm saying. I'm not. This isn't an episode that I'm, using to judge, right? To tell people like you can't do this, and no, it's. I mean, like I know people are going to do what they're going to do. I'm just saying, we do this. Human beings do these kinds of things. We're very, like people in general make a lot of stupid choices. I don't think human beings in general are unintelligent. I think we make a lot of stupid choices, and we have a lot of imperfections with our genetic makeup. It makes us do things like, if take money and spend on thing that is shiny, be happy momentarily. We're also smart enough to turn around and go, in hindsight, that's kind of silly. But, okay, it brought me momentary happiness and fleeting joy, right? So, okay, maybe if I do it again, or if I keep doing it, I'll, it'll be beneficial in some way, right? Balance of the universe, I don't know. 21 minutes. Okay, it's getting pretty far out here. Let's go ahead and flip the knives open for people who sat around and waited. Urban EDC Supply F5.5 with the Segea pattern. Titanium. We have, of course, the Microtech and Reich. This is made in China. SOCOM Bravo. Not a clone, an actual authorized collaboration through Microtech. We have the Blade HQ exclusive TICN coated Spyderco Smock in CPM M4. We have the Les George VECP V3 non-flipper, CTS XHP, and running on phosphor bronze washers. Really like that one. We have, of course, the Microtech Stitch. Wow, that thing is crazy powerful. We have, the King Blade. My, officially, in my book, definitely the coolest knife in my collection. The Sharp by Design Arch Nemesis, full custom. We have the Strider and Medford 3/4 AR, DLT exclusive version in S90V. We have the Monkey Edge exclusive XM18 3.5 inch CPM 3V frag pattern XM18. Did I say that? XM18 3.5 inch. We have the Riot made Chavez Redemption 229. This is the full size version. We have an old school ZT 0392, very rare now. This is used to be a BWBRZ. I took the bronze hardware out and put some different ones in. We have the tactile Knifeco Rockwall in Magna Cut, which is very cool. Very much have enjoyed using Magna Cut. And then we have the Microtech Ultratech 2, which is essentially a Microtech 1 with some interesting milling on it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Knife Guy. If you did, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives. They're either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.